Well, and welcome back to the Naked in Truth podcast. It is me, Sari D, your host and creator, and I am solo dolo this week, even though today is Valentine's Day. And you guys know that I am a big lover of love. I love all the love. I think that love always wins. I think that we need to lead by love, but I do also believe that there is some toxic love out there, some shit that looks like it's love, but it's not actually love. And that is what we are going to talk about on today's episode is being a toxic lover. How do we stop attracting those mofos? And how do we ensure that we're in a relationship that we're proud of? And that we're attracting the people that we want, because with it being Valentine's Day today, I know that there's a lot of pressure on people's backs, especially if they're single, feeling like you're left out of this whole thing. But if I can be completely honest with you guys, the best thing that you can do is wait and attract the right person, because the last thing that you want to do is get into a relationship with somebody who either ends up destroying you, who takes away your time, because like I said, time is way more important than money. You can get money back and you can get it in boatloads. It can be taken away really quickly. Like there's just it can come in large amounts and come and go in large amounts. Whereas time, it's like you lose it. And when you lose it, you don't get that shit back. So the last thing that you want is somebody pissing away your valuable time, because like I just said, that shit is valuable. Okay. So we need to make sure that we're with people that make us feel valued and make us um, not have to second guess who we are, right? Because I think that that's the hardest part about being in a relationship, is that you get in this relationship with somebody and you got to grow together. And you don't always grow in the same directions. And I think that that's where things get really tricky. And it's important to make sure that you're covering what is important to you, and what will be important to you. But I think that that can only go so far, because as you're growing, you don't always know what you want. You don't know what you're always growing towards. And I think that that can make things a little tricky. So it's important to make sure that we are attracting the right person in the beginning, and trying to make sure that we are keeping that communication wide and open, because I love that love and I love that communication. So when it comes to toxic lovers, though, guys, I think that we've all been in a relationship where we were like, holy fuck, how did I get myself into this? Or, we don't realize until we're out of it of how toxic that person really was for us. And I actually had this episode as a request from one of the listeners. So if you're listening right now, thank you so much for this topic request. They're really fun, especially because this is an area that I think really fits well with the episode of Do I Know Me, Homie? Okay. Because when we think about our lives, we think that we know what we want, but we don't actually do anything to channel it. We don't actually apply the same action towards what it is that we want. And so a lot of the time we know that we want a good partner. Maybe it's that we want a faithful partner. Maybe it's that we want a funny partner, but we're not getting into the specifics. And what I think is really interesting about this is that I'm an online personal trainer, and I'm always getting my clients to find their why. And a lot of the time they're joining because they want to lose weight. But at the end of the day, losing weight is not the actual why. And it is what is going to change in their life, or is not going to change in their life if they don't lose this weight, right? And it's a bigger picture of that. And maybe it is that they're afraid of death because now they have diabetes, and they're concerned about where their health is going to go from here if they don't change it. Maybe it's the fact that they're already struggling to get on the floor with their kids, and they're concerned that their kids are only 7, 8 years old. Where are they going to be in the next 10 years when it comes to playing with their kids, and their health isn't doing good? Like, that is truly what their why is for losing weight. And I want us to think of the relationship that we're looking to be in the same way, of what is it that we've gone through in the past in our relationships that we really don't like, that we do not want to repeat again, right? Because we have all had moments, even if we feel like we've been in good relationships, there is shit that you don't want to repeat. And I don't think that we think about it as much, right? Because, for example, maybe it's that we don't want to repeat getting, pardon me, but we don't want to repeat getting cheated on. Okay, well, what is it that led to that behavior? And I'm not saying that there's always an answer for that, but a lot of the time there is an answer for that. And so what is it that led to that, and why? And that is what you don't want to repeat. So it's about making sure that we're breaking things far enough down that we're actually getting the answers that we need to help attract the people that we want, right? So what I want you guys to do is we're going to be going over some of these points, and I want you guys to pull out a pen and a piece of paper. So I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to do that right now, and or pull out your phone, write it in your notepad, and actually do this exercise, because like I've mentioned before, you guys usually get one exercise on these podcasts, and if you're coming to listen to this shit, actually do the exercise. Change your life. That is the reason why you're here. And there's a reason why you're here. Okay. And it's to attract the right people to your life. And you can use this exercise in so many more ways than just a lover relationship, to make sure that you're not attracting those toxic lovers anymore. You can apply this to business, and different things like that. So let's go over this first question that I want you guys to ask yourselves. Is I want you to take a couple of minutes to actually look at what qualities is it that you are looking to attract in your next relationship. And I want you to be specific, okay? So when you say that this person is funny, is it that they're funny all the time? Is it that they're funny when they cheer you up, you know? Cuz like I like that my husband is funny, but I also hate how funny he is sometimes, and I need him to be serious, you know what I'm saying? So, you need to be specific, because if you are actually attracting the right person, you want to have those things covered, and you don't just want to clown unless that is what you want. You know what I mean? But sometimes men like to use that humor a little bit more than what us ladies like. So, like I'm saying, just little stuff like that about being specific in the qualities that you're looking for the next relationship. So, to get specific though, guys, you're going to have to assess, what did you love in those past relationships? What is it that made you feel full, fulfilled, that you would love to see carry on into another relationship? That's a really, really, really important question. So, what did you love in past relationships? Okay. How about this one? This one's going to get you guys really thinking. What did you love but know wasn't right for you? Okay? Because there's these things in our relationships where we get addicted to it a little bit, maybe it's a turn on, maybe it's just that we like getting treated like shit sometimes. And so you loved it, but you knew it wasn't the right thing for you, okay? Because there is really toxic traits that we get addicted to, or we like as humans in other people, but we don't actually like them, and even though we're attracted to them, they're not something that we want to keep long term. So make sure that you're aware of what those are, or else you might just subliminally attract yourself to that kind of person all the time. Okay. So, what did you love but know wasn't right for you? Okay. Now, our next question, though, guys, is what wasn't right for you but tried to be portrayed that it was okay? Now, I know that way back when I was in a very controlling relationship, and I look back to the way that this guy would freak out over certain things, and who I was hanging out with, who I was talking to, where I was going. And he was so aggressive. And even though he was trying to come off as if he was caring about me, and that's why he was so aggressive towards who I was talking to, where I was going, what I was wearing, blah, 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 blah. Um, it's not okay, right? So even though it was portrayed as being okay, that was a trait that was not okay, even though he was trying to make it seem like this is me loving you, this is me protecting you, this is us being in a faithful relationship together. So what was right for you and tried to, or what wasn't right for you, but tried to be portrayed that it was okay. Okay. So that's the next one. What do you not want to see or repeat yourself? Okay, because let's be honest, we are not all just the victims in these toxic relationships. Sometimes we are the toxic. And uh, I think that that just is being accountable, that as humans, we aren't perfect. And there's things in relationships that we have done. Like, man, when I think back on some of my relationships, I am sure that some of my ex boyfriends look at where I'm at with my husband now, and they're like, how the fuck did that man stay with that woman for that long? Because, guys, I had some toxic ass traits. You know what I mean? I had no confidence in myself. And that, in and of itself, is such a toxic trait of what it can produce. So, make sure that you take some time to actually reflect on what you don't want to see and what you don't want to repeat, because a lot of that does come from you. Okay. So don't just reflect on the people that you've been in relationships, but make sure to reflect on yourself. Okay. The next one is, what personality traits or triggers bring out good or bad personality traits in yourself? Okay. So, like for me, me being a non drinker, or at least trying to be a non-drinker, is one of those things where in a relationship, I have always wanted to be in a relationship with somebody else who doesn't drink. That is something that's really important to me because I know that when I'm around somebody who I'm in a relationship with that's drinking, it triggers me to not feel valid enough or to not feel worthy enough. And that's not cool. You know what I mean? Like nobody should have to feel that way. And at the end of the day, even though we all have areas that we can still work on, it's important that we are attracting people who bring out the good in us and do not trigger the bad in us. And we need to be cognizant of what behavior triggers our behavior, because it's not just blaming the other person, right? We need to understand what kind of traits we start developing and the emotions that we start bearing on other people when we're around certain things. And, a lot of us aren't going to take the accountability for that and want to just continue blaming bad relationships, these toxic relationships in our lives, for what's triggering us. But at the end of the day, guys, it really does come down to us to figure out what it is that's triggering us, why, and how can we prevent this from happening in the future, and what personality traits make you feel good. What makes you feel valued? What makes you want to chase your goals? What, like, that at the end of the day, we want to feel encouraged. We want to feel heard. We want to feel valued. And I think that that's just normal human traits, that we want to feel. So make sure that you guys break that down on both the good and the bad side. And the last bit here is, like, keep that list of qualities that you want in your next relationship clear and present. Like, I mean, read it every single day. And if you're not going to read it every single day, read it fucking weekly. Have that shit posted in your bedroom. Like, you need to make sure that you have that front of mind and that you revisit it, because you're going to forget about these things. And the other part is, too, guys, is that you're not going to have all these answers right off the hop. So make sure that you take some time thinking about this. Like, sit down, do this exercise, go get some exercise, get some fresh air, go for a drive. That's where I always get my good thoughts. And think about some of these other qualities. Sometimes there's things that we forget about in relationships that even happened or we don't even recognize until we hear something. So I really hope that this episode, opens up your guys' thinking caps to previous relationships and where things really may have gone wrong. And like I said, there's absolutely no shame on who did the wrong, okay? Because there's just toxic relationships fall on both sides. It does take two to tango, and not that I'm blaming both people, but at the end of the day, we have to be accountable for what's toxic to us and being willing to walk away from it and make sure that we're looking after our mental health the way it deserves to be looked after. And to make sure that we're not just in these relationships feeling stuck and feeling like we can change a person, because I can promise you guys, nobody, and I mean absolutely nobody, is going to change who they are or how they live their lives unless they want to. You can have the best intention. They could believe, they could see that they need the change themselves, but until they're actually ready to make that change, do not, and I repeat, do not go into a relationship thinking that you can change a motherfucker. Okay? That is just going to break your heart. It is going to cause so much extra stress. And like I said, it's time that you can't get back. And there is no point of getting into a relationship where you feel like you need to change somebody. So making sure that you're attracting the right person by doing this exercise and actually knowing who you want to attract. We all want to be in a good relationship, but we don't really put much further thought into it. And that's what I want you guys to do with this is get those attributes flowing, start attracting these people into your life, and make sure that you have a relationship that is what you want. Okay. Because I think that too many of us settle. We get into these relationships that we're not actually happy. Maybe it's that we're scared to leave. Maybe it's that we don't have any confidence anymore to leave. No matter what the reason is, you deserve to be happy and to feel fulfilled in your relationships. So do this exercise. And then when you attract that person, make sure that you have clear communication. Okay. Talk about what your future goals are. Talk about what your deal breakers are. Talk about what your previous bad habits are, what your previous bad habits were, and what your current bad habits are. Okay. Because when you are able to be upfront and truthful and create a friendship with this person, you are going to create a relationship that is going to have little to no surprises in the way that you don't want them. Okay. Nobody likes the surprise fights. Nobody likes the surprise characteristics that make you wonder who the fuck it was that you even fell in love with to begin with. Right. Nobody loves that shit. So if we can just put it right on the table, right when we get into the relationship and we spent that time attracting the right person, everything should work out very, very well. Okay. So lots of fire information on this fucking episode. I hope that you guys are feeling the love, feeling the fire, are ready to start attracting that dream person. And just know that if you are single today on Valentine's Day, you are a boss for choosing yourself and choosing not to settle. Okay. And if you're in a relationship where you are not happy, take some time to assess, because this is the rest of your life that you're going to be in this relationship for, and you need to look out for you. I know it's so hard not hurting someone else's feelings, but I think that feelings end up getting hurt a lot more staying in a relationship that you're not supposed to be in than choosing to cut ties and move on, right? So just some advice there, guys, because at the end of the day, love is great, love is amazing, love always wins, but love can still be toxic. So I hope that you guys got a lot of value out of the Toxic Lovers episode today. So if you guys have any questions about the exercise itself, feel free to email me. It's all in the show notes. And just know that that life isn't easy, guys, and it sucks that we have to like sit down and break things down like this, but that's why I wanted to do this podcast, so that we can all grow together, because the more that we can attract who is actually supposed to be in our lives, I think the better the world is going to work as one. Okay. So happy Valentine's Day, my lovers. I am so, so grateful to have each and every one of you on here listening. You have no idea how much it means to me. So seriously, all my love to you guys. Mwah. This is going to conclude today's episode, and I will catch y'all